What is going on, everybody? Excited to be here. Happy Friday. How are y'all
Happy
doing?
Friday. It's pack drop day.
Pack drop day. No better day. Friday, pack drop day. 185,000 packs, one of our biggest drops to date. Candy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Jacob?
I'm good. I was actually looking through the office hours chat trying to find Rude Moose. Couldn't find you. I was like, "Oh no, am I solo piloting?" And then sure enough, you're Candy. I just forgot. So
Yeah,
great to have you here.
glad to be here. Got the agenda posted in the office hours chat right now, so that way people know where we'll be heading today with the topics. Got a lot to cover and an hour to do it because we've got to make sure that you are ready for the pack drop stream too.
Yeah, for sure.
How
Very
excited are
excited.
you about that though?
I'm so excited getting to talk to Richard Hamilton, one of my all-time favorite players. For all of you who don't know, Devin Booker called Richard Hamilton his favorite player growing up. So Devin Booker wearing the mask last night. Richard Hamilton obviously will have strong takes on all four teams still in contention. And we're going to break down all of the moments that are coming out in these packs. So it will be a little bit of a hybrid mint show plus Q show. So going to be a lot of fun. But before that, as you mentioned, certainly a lot to get to. I know the community has plenty of questions, so excited to dive right into it.
Fantastic. I'm excited as well. And we do have a lot of things that we've gathered from the community over the last week, questions, uh, comments, concerns, super exciting suggestions. So let's start with the challenges category today, Jacob. Um, First up, we'll start with the hard stuff. Can you provide a deeper explanation of how the randomization on the Mitchell distribution was compromised? So that was something that happened, pretty recently. We're looking at more clarification on why we needed to add this new step for the randomization process, since it was already working fine before, and how we can trust that process moving forward as a community.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate the question. So I think the biggest thing to emphasize here is that there's a major difference between fully self-contained and well-tested in-product features such as pack drops, such as challenge rewards, and then things like this, such as quests, which is not fully built out and is experimental in nature, right? We want to prove the concept before we commit tons of engineering resources to actually building it as a feature. And by definition, because it's new, we can't use one of the different self-contained features we've already created. So again, with packs and challenges, it's a fully automated, built-out process that's existing in product. With something like quests, there's a partial element of a human checklist that we rely on, and in that human checklist, there was a skip. There was a skipped step around kind of the randomization. So you may have noticed that all of the Google accounts were fully randomized, but those that came in with Dapper IDs before signing up with Google was mandatory for an extended period of time. Those were not randomized. So this was obviously something that is not acceptable to us and very disappointing for our standards. So we are implementing serious QA kind of uh, upgrades around this process, especially until we build high fidelity features that kind of have those processes fully automated.
All right. And in a similar thread, because this is something that's sort of been pending in the community and relevant to that Mitchell quest. Can you share some of the recent learnings for both the timing of challenge launches and also when there are specific bottleneck moment requirements for challenges and quests? What have we learned there, and how are those learnings going to influence our challenge and quest implementations moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're very receptive to feedback. We are open-minded, and I think you'll see that kind of manifest itself with today specifically. We're not going to be dropping challenges today while the queue is going on. We've made the conscientious decision, knowing trade-offs, that we are going to release challenges tomorrow. Now, the risk involved with that is we're going to have a ton of collectors coming to the platform trying to get the exact same moment at the exact same time. And that leads to stability risks, and it also leads to collector experience risks, right? If everyone's competing for the same moment, we're not just talking about a dozen collectors competing for that moment. We're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of collectors competing for the exact same moments. So with all of that in mind, we're going to say today that there are going to be challenges dropping tomorrow. We're not going to say what time they're dropping. When they are live, we will announce it. And we'll also institute cooldowns so that collectors won't be able to collect every single moment before others have a chance at one. So this is kind of the middle ground that we're broaching here. We don't want to announce the set time right now because we think that would set us up for a really bad experience tomorrow that could compromise kind of site stability and collector experience. So stay tuned. We will announce it tomorrow. And yeah, just keep on the lookout. Again, with challenges, it's just a high leverage, high risk situation because we know every collector is going to go for the same moments. One thing that we are building that I anticipate to be live by the end of day today is a kind of warning flag that will tell you if another collector is already in the process of checking out on the moment that you're selecting. So I'm confident, or I'm optimistic, I should say, that will lead to a better collector experience. But as you all know, we're trying to kind of do this with you all in mind, and the feedback we got from last week certainly reaffirmed that we need to experiment with something new. While we don't have 100% confidence that this new approach that we're going to try out this weekend is the right one long term, we want to continue to test and get feedback from you all. So we're going to see how it goes, and we look forward to hearing from you one way or the other of if this is a better path forward.
Fantastic. And it definitely is, good to know that the community feedback has been taken into account, kind of looking at new ways to roll things out that will feel more transparent and fair for the community. I know that's something that, Jacob, you and I have been in a lot of meetings over the last couple of weeks, finding ways to improve that process for everyone. So with that, we also have feedback about the dime quest concept. But people are noting that, since the quest is rewarding those who are actually watching the game, why are we announcing those specific players that are required for the quest? That was an update that went into the blog last night.
Yeah, I think like this is very in line with what you were just saying, Candy. It's in the spirit of over communication and over transparency. We don't want to create situations that there's any ambiguity whatsoever. So while I, as an NBA fan, can appreciate that, looking up a box score on ESPN or Yahoo or wherever you're looking for a box score isn't super time consuming or hard, opening the door for any collectors in our community to make a collecting decision that they feel misled by us around is not in our best interest. So we are going to continue to provide kind of clear guidelines around the players involved in these quests, just in the absence of it being built into the product itself. We don't want any collectors going out on hunches or doing anything that they feel we didn't over communicate with them around.
speaking of things being built into the product, we have some new search filters related to challenges.
Yes, we just added a filter so that you can search for all of the moments involved in active challenges. Now, I'm really excited about this. I know the community's been asking for it. This is the first of what I anticipate to be a handful, if not a bunch of upcoming upgrades to the marketplace. Though I don't have a timeline on new things coming, I do want to reaffirm that this has absolutely been something that the community team has been loud about and the product team has been receptive to. So as we build those features, we will continue to update you all around what's coming. I anticipate that you all will be quite happy because we are taking feedback directly from you all and applying it to the product.
Right. And so, and other things that we've got a lot of feedback about recently and are working toward solutions. It's been noted that it would be nice if all rewards for quests and challenges could be delivered at the same time, because we've been seeing sort of a delayed rollout and some are showing up on the marketplace before others are even having the reward dropped to their account. So with that, especially being exacerbated, yesterday with the Simmons reward, do we have details about why there was, some extra delays or pauses and how we're looking to improve that, if at all?
Yeah, so generally speaking, rewards and earnable moments are distributed within about 5 minutes of each other. In the case of Simmons yesterday, and it's not the only time it's happened, it may happen again. The machine that we are leveraging to distribute these moments, there are times where the manufacturing or delivery process itself needs to be fixed or needs to be restarted, just like any physical production line. Um, it does happen. It will likely happen again. It's the nature of blockchain, which is very similar to physical production in many ways. We'll do what we can to mitigate it. In the case of Simmons yesterday, we apologize to those that received the moment later than others. We don't anticipate this to be the norm. And again, it is very much our intention to distribute those moments as tightly and in concert as possible long term.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely important for everybody to know. And moving on, I guess, from there, actually to the moments category. Um, one of the observations was that there are now new players that are searchable in the Top Shop marketplace. So are we expecting more Series 2 base moments coming? And if so, why? Because these are players that we haven't seen yet on any moments so far.
Yeah, so the base set is an open set, and for as long as it's an open set, you can safely anticipate that more moments can and likely will be added to it. Once we close the set, of course, we won't add new moments to it. Um, there are a bunch of factors at play here. There's a need for a certain number of moments in the base set. Uh, it comes down to math and a lot of context. I'll use Nikola Vucevic as an example here. We have a metallic gold Nikola Vucevic Chicago Bulls moment. He, of course, got traded from the Magic to the Bulls mid-season. There is no Bulls Vucevic base set moment right now in the collection, which means there are unintended bottlenecks around team sets and team bonuses that have happened just by players changing teams. He's not the only example. He's just one that I can rattle off here. So we're adding moments to the base set very much with the intention of kind of creating a fair collector experience for Bulls fans and Lakers fans and whichever team you rep, that it should have fair amounts of parity around kind of the ability to complete those. And we're not going to be able to nail it 100% every time, but you can safely anticipate that more moments will be added to the base set until we close that set. There are any other kind of things to think of here? That's pretty much it. I would just kind of continue to reiterate that you as a collector should anticipate for any, not just the base set, but for any open set, that there's always the possibility that more moments will be added to that set.
All right, so speaking of adding more moments to base sets, it's been asked if there will be any sort of reward or bonus for collecting an entire base set. So far, the Series 1 set you can complete in full. Series 2, I mean, we're getting near the end, so it'll be close to for getting people to be able to complete those. But will there be any reward aside from having that marked as complete in your collection?
Yeah, so there's a collector score bonus, as many of you know, for completing any set, and that bonus is commensurate with the size of the set. So a large set, like the entire base set, is going to be a large bonus. Um, Incidentally, this is also why we can't have a stacking bonus for individual moments in sets, because it can get quite hard to keep. We can't contain it super well, and it creates a lot of potential kind of unintended consequences. So, to answer the question directly, there is not a specific reward or bonus, but of course, there's a hefty bonus for completing the entire base set.
All right. So moving along then from base set moments, what about the Lamello MGLE? Can you give us any clarity on the timing and format for that distribution?
No update on format for the distribution. The timing, I would anticipate sometime in July. And we're looking into it. I think it's more likely that it will follow a similar path to how we distributed the Steph Curry Cool Cats moment than uh, total free for all. But we're still looking into the exact details, and we will let you all know as soon as we have them.
Thank you. And then also, what about run it back and mint sizing for the off season? Is this something that we're looking at being rare again, like the Series 1 run it backs, or will it be common or multiple tiers, like with the playoffs? Because this is something that, obviously we're able to kind of reach out to a whole new subset of collectors, kind of people looking at those classic games and having that be available is something, the community is wondering how accessible will this be?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to note that we're exploring and expecting historical sets in all tiers. And that includes legendary and one day potentially ultimate. Um, we started with rare run it back, but that doesn't mean necessarily that that set or archived set of some sort can't be common. It can't be legendary. We'll see. Um, what I can say with certainty is that we will go back to 2013-14, which is where we went for our first run it backs. And it's very likely that you'll see new players from that year, maybe some repeated players that already existed in the run it back set, coming back to Top Shot from that season as commons, potentially as legendaries one day. Just want to make sure that that is super explicit for you all.
Oh, right. And so I think a good transition then from the run it back is actually looking at the playoffs category of questions. And so since the playoff set is a pretty large one, did we have any consideration to split the set into separate rounds, which would then allow people more, collector score bonus, or would there be additional utility for this set in the future?
Yeah, so we liked the option of creating such a large playoff set for similar reasons to making the base set really large, right? If you complete the entire playoff set, you get a commensurate bonus. Sorry, y'all. My building was having a fire alarm. We'll move past that. Better now than with Rip Hamilton on stream. Okay. So to continue that, we're looking into kind of options all around, but in the sense of the playoff set being a large one, the utility or the extra reward involved will be completing the set gets you a significant bonus.
All right. And so continuing then with the playoffs, even though the rounds aren't over, can we provide any estimates of mint sizes for the then there were 4 rare set and the legendary packs, either the mint sizes, the pricing, any details about those upcoming planned drops?
Yeah, so I think when we're talking about uh, mint sizes as a whole, no details to reveal today. Um, I would say that you can anticipate that the rare and then there were 4 will look closer to what rare sets have looked like in Series 2, excluding the MGLEs. So, more than 1,000, not less than 500. As far as prices, we'll have to kind of stay tuned for a update as soon as we have it.
Thank you. And will there be rare and common challenges that are separate for the rest of the playoffs? So, we've got the current playoff challenges, then we're going to be having the later sets. So we're going to continue with challenges that way.
Yeah, they'll be separate for sure.
And what about a master challenge at the end of the playoff set?
Yeah, we've announced every master challenge at or near the outset of a set being formed and being released. We have not announced a master challenge for the playoff set because there is no master challenge. So you can safely anticipate next time there is a master challenge that we will let you know very early in the ball game and not closer to halftime like we're at.
All right. So last question about playoffs then, Jacob. Unless you want to tell us your predictions for what's going on in the games themselves. But first, are there going to be any quests or special utilities for the playoff challenge rewards?
Well, they allow you to complete the set, and through that, you can earn the collector score bonuses of completing the set. But yeah, very similar to a question that came up earlier. Same type of answer. Nothing particularly unique about it.
All right. So that concludes our playoff section then. So moving on to collector score. And this is something actually I'm going to put in a little side note here because I'm seeing on both Twitter and Discord, some people are running into issues when they're trying to join the queue today, where we had a requirement of 100 collector score and they're showing ineligible. Try refreshing because that seems to be clearing those issues. So we've got about a half an hour before the drop itself happens. So get yourself in the queue. Try refreshing if you're having issues. With that, moving on to the actual collector score questions now. Series 1 moments. Right now, they kind of have some extra scoring opportunity there, but people are wondering if there's actually going to be an extra boost for those. So if you have a Luca or a Zion and have, quite a low collector score value there relative to other moments. So I guess people are looking to see if we're going to add any extra boosts in addition to what currently exists.
Yeah, so with certainty, we're not going to be rewarding boosts on any one specific player. We are very much looking at the data and interested in rewarding collectors with strategies around their collecting. And so Series 1 moments, of course, already get a boost in collector score when compared to Series 2. Additionally, collector score is just a single method of measuring a collection and is in no way intended to fully define the value of the collection. Like any collectible, certain pieces will carry extra value to collectors in the marketplace. So yeah, I would just kind of say we're not going to put our finger on the scale or our thumb on the scale for any one specific moment.
All right. And do you know of any upcoming changes to the way the team bonuses currently work or will in the future work? That's something that we've seen some rumblings about in the community recently.
Yeah, so we're investigating the possibility of removing current stacking rules and team bonuses just for the sake of as new collectors come in, it can get quite complicated with all of these different bonuses. And as we've emphasized, all of these bonuses are experimental in nature, and we're learning from feedback and taking that feedback and applying it and looking at the data. I don't expect any immediate changes around that, but just want to put that on your radar that we are investigating the possibility of removing current stacking rules in team bonuses. And something important to keep in mind, of course, is that as future seasons come out, team compositions will naturally change and alter the landscape of what a full team looks like for a team bonus.
All right, so that's definitely, along with many other things, kind of a work in progress, and especially as we've been getting feedback from the community, kind of adjusting collector score to reward the people who are, kind of very actively participating in the community, in the collecting, and giving their feedback in order to build a product, for the people who are using it. What about experiments around a tiered system based on collector score for drops? Are we going to be seeing anything about that soon? Maybe still in Series 2 or for the beginning of Series 3?
Yeah, I'm optimistic we'll see it before Series 3. Um, and hopefully we'll see it soon. It's actually under development right now, but needs quite a bit of testing to be used live in product. So, I don't have a firm timeline for you. My hope is that, sooner rather than later, but definitely something we're excited about. And I think the community is going to really like.
All right. And so in addition to having things like, a tiered system for drops, so that way, right now, I guess to clarify that, we've seen a lot of, the hard collector score requirements for drops, but having a tiered system would essentially open up the possibility, even if it's a very low chance, you still have a chance to get in line. And that's kind of how those tiered systems work. But one of the other things that we've seen, during the drops and the eligibility is marketplace bonuses. And today is different because we actually don't have a marketplace bonus. So can you touch on that a little bit more? Is that something, that's temporary because we're not using it today, or are we done using those marketplace bonus systems?
Yeah, so one thing that just touching back on the previous point that I want to communicate to you all, we're internally calling this system of having multiple stages of a drop or multiple levels of access, precisely that, levels. In the kind of lexicon that is NBA Top Shot, we already use tiers when we're talking about common, rare, legendary, ultimate. So we definitely do not want to conflate what a tier could mean to the community at large. So when we're talking about level drops, it's precisely that, levels. To answer the next question about marketplace bonuses, they'll continue to iterate from drop to drop to reward and incentivize active collecting and help collectors gain eligibility for drop. With that being said, they are absolutely going to vary. Bonuses for the legendary finals drop are certainly possible, but it'll almost certainly look different from the marketplace bonuses we've seen to date. And I really want to caution that I don't think that there'll be a permanent part of the Top Shot collector experience. Base collector score or raw collector score is intended to long term have kind of a more kind of focused and primary responsibility toward eligibility. And of course, marketplace bonuses are just one form of drop bonuses. So it's a little too soon to say, with us being just about a month into them, to know whether they'll be temporary or permanent, right? We want to be data driven here, and we want to look at a lot that's going on, based on community sentiment, based on activity and data. So we're not going to kind of prematurely decide today on either front.
Alrighty. And kind of something that we've touched on a little bit, but maybe could use some more clarification, Jacob. Overall, the rules and requirements for collector score seem to evolve or change quite a bit, and that's something that has been a result of directly responding to community feedback and observing how things are working and trying to optimize this for the majority of people. So understanding that yes, this is beta, and that's something that we lean on quite a bit, but is there any plan for releasing a roadmap for collector score as well?
Yeah, so it's a difficult balance and a delicate balance between providing enough granularity to reward collectors for different ways they construct and build their collections, while also trying to keep it simple enough to understand for a newer collector. Um, so while we'll strive to continue making incremental improvements, collector score is not meant to dictate uh, how you collect necessarily. It can be a part of your strategy, but it shouldn't be the end all be all. We encourage everyone to build their collections based on the moments, players, and teams that they love. Because if you're collecting what you love, then you're going to be much happier with your collection at the end of the day.
I definitely agree with that. That's something that we've been looking at kind of in a lot of conversations on social media and in Discord, and having the trade-offs between are you purchasing moments, especially when we have things like the marketplace spend as a bonus. Like you have the trade-off of getting the marketplace spend bonus or the collector score bonus, depending on what you're purchasing. So at the end of the day, finding things that make you happy as a collector, I think, is the most guaranteed way to continue along and be excited about your collection. Moving then to our last category, we have a bunch of kind of miscellaneous questions that don't necessarily fit other places, but are still exciting or interesting and things that people want to discuss. So the first one, I think this is maybe the hardest of them, Jacob, so prepare yourself. But currently, the marketplace goals seem to be focusing more on challenges, quests, collector score requirements than specific moments or players. So, kind of what we were just discussing to some extent. And so, the person who asked this wants to know if this is the goal of Top Shot to focus on those specific goals or requirements. And if they're not, so as you had mentioned, finding things, collecting things that you love, how are we as a company planning to kind of move the marketplace away from that in the future?
Yeah, so I think, like, again, and I get it, when we talk about beta, it's a inevitable eye roll, and we are in beta. We will continue to be in beta until you hear otherwise. And what beta is all about is experimenting, testing, and learning to make Top Shot the very best long-term product that we can. So everything that we're doing right now is to learn and improve and optimize and gather feedback, gather data. And if we don't do that, and if we're too afraid to make a mistake, then we're not going to be able to learn. We'll have paralysis and we won't be able to grow and build the product into what it needs to be long term. So I wouldn't necessarily, as a collector, put too much stock in Top Shot focusing more on quests or collector score requirements than specific moments or players. We are just introducing new elements and wrinkles to the Top Shot collector experience. And based on feedback that's been received fairly positively from the community, and we'll continue to gather that feedback and that data and leverage it to continue to make the product even better.
All right. And what about the push notifications for the marketplace? Because we used to have those for marketplace sales, and that was, pretty exciting. You could see what was happening as it happened. Do we have plans to bring those back?
Yeah. So when it comes to push notifications, I think it's something that we absolutely will bring back. I don't have a timeline for it. When we do bring it back, every collector will have the opportunity to opt in if they want to receive push notifications. So stay tuned. I don't have a timeline for you, but definitely part of our overall kind of engagement strategy long term.
All right. So I guess speaking about engagement strategy and long term, what about the off season? So Top Shot recently, we've been talking about the off season quite a bit, and also kind of over the last couple months, have come up with quite a few ideas, like trade tickets. We've got Run It Back, we've got the Rake Back. Is there any ballpark dates, a roadmap available for those sorts of things? And the second part of that question is what are you most excited about for the off season, and even if it's something not on that list?
Yeah. So you mentioned three things there, so I'll address them one by one. Trade tickets, Run It Back, and Rake Back specifically. I think Run It Back and Rake Backs you will see this summer in some form or fashion. With trade tickets, I think it's also on the way. We've scoped it out as a feature, but we still need to build it. And with all the other stuff coming, such as Rakebacks, such as Run It Backs, we're prioritizing those ahead of it. So trade tickets a little bit further behind. I think you'll see Rakebacks the soonest of those three. But yeah, stay tuned for further updates on all of it. And then for what I'm most excited about, Candy, I'm an NBA junkie. So the opportunity to dive into the archives of NBA history this summer with Run It Back is obviously something that I can't wait to do.
And with that, I anticipate that we'll also be able to see, as we have over the last month, more marketing and hype and kind of getting all of the excitement around, those Run It Back moments as we're rolling them out. So I think it won't just be you who's really excited about it, Jacob. I think that's something that we'll be able to more openly promote as a company and as a community. And that's got to be exciting for you.
Absolutely.
What about, all right, so other things related to trade tickets, actually. Do we have any details? Because one of the things that people had mentioned with trade tickets is that those Series 1 packs are going to be coming out as maybe the first reward for these. Do we have any idea when the first release of those will be?
No, as I just mentioned, we've got Rake Backs, I think, coming next, and we've got Run It Backs this summer and trade tickets a little further behind. We will give you updates as soon as we have them, but the initial timeline looks like it's delayed.
Okay, so still on the radar, but maybe had some other prioritizations beforehand, which we think the community would be excited about. What about a run size filter in the marketplace? This is something that people have been requesting. So we've seen a lot of improvements to the marketplace and new filters being added. And, this used to be a thing that, if you filtered by serial, you could kind of search by the run size, but having a maximum serial would also be help. Is that something that we can get on the radar if it's not already there?
Yeah. In the context of marketplace improvements, I think you'll all be excited about the things we're working on. Of course, we just added one upgrade yesterday with the ability to search for the moments involved in challenges. So very excited about that. And other things around run size filters I know are frequently requested and asked for. So I would anticipate that we bring those to the table at some point.
All right. And I guess other things that are, related to the previous question to some extent. What about staking moments? Is that going to be a thing that we can look into in the future?
I think way down the line, it's something we can look into. It's not something that is on our roadmap right now for anything in 2021. But yeah, I think it's something that with the blockchain, we'll absolutely look into what that could look like, and maybe it doesn't have as quite similar analog in the space right now, but something that we can explore and look into down the road.
All right. And then I know that we still have a little bit of time before office hours usually ends, but I also know that you have to get ready for this, stream with Rip Hamilton, so I don't want to keep you too long and have that delayed. So I'm going to throw this out as the last question on the list, Jacob. Do you have any update on the status of changes, plans for, etc.? Transferring moments out of the Top Shot ecosystem. They also asked about off the flow blockchain, but I think more than that, even non-custodial wallets on flow, and thus using things like third-party marketplaces that are being evolved.
Yeah, it's absolutely on our roadmap for you to be able to access your moments off of Top Shot. I don't see a world in which, even if we're able to give our collectors the ability to move their moments into different wallets, I don't see a world in which they'll be able to interact with their moments and their collection outside of Flow. So everything will exist on Flow, but certainly some great partners from Vive to Blockto that will have the opportunity for you as a collector to interact with your moments over there.
Perfect. And it'll be, I think, definitely something that we are looking forward to, because that opens up a lot more of the freedom, that's associated with blockchain.
And
But
Wearable as of yesterday. Great call, Alexa.
I did see that. Yeah, so we've got Wearable. I know there's been some talks with OpenSea, so getting all those marketplaces up and running on Flow will then open the door for alternatives other than the official Top Shot marketplace. But I think it's important to understand, though, that any bonuses that you accrue using the Top Shot marketplace would not apply if you're using third-party marketplaces. So there's a trade-off there, as we're moving toward, that sort of adventuring.
Yeah, I'll take a few more questions, just knowing that more are coming in. Ritters asks, can we elaborate on the Oculus collaboration? So I think like we can kind of talk in two layers here. The collaboration we did last night was awesome for us to work with Oculus through the NBA to get word out about these playoff paths and get new collectors coming to Top Shot. of course, every Top Shot moment is a 3D collectible. So the world is really kind of endless for what that could look like through VR one day, but nothing around the moments today work in the way that Oculus has a partnership with League Pass and you can watch the games from courtside. That's not what we're talking about in this collaboration or something that's in the immediate roadmap. But again, I think it's only natural to speculate and wonder years down the line what that could look like.
I think that's definitely exciting. We've seen, a lot of, not just Oculus, but there are quite a few different third-party integrations that, we're seeing with the VR, the AR space that I think Top Shot's going to look really exciting in.
Yeah, you looked asks, is market stability a priority? Absolutely. We are constantly looking into ways that we can continue to grow our platform and ensure that stability is not compromised in the process. So definitely a priority, if not the very, very tippy top, definitely in the top 5 biggest priorities. Questions about Cool Cats. We are still very excited about the 9 Lives Lounge launching. We are waiting on kind of third-party builders to unlock some possibilities there, but very excited for what that could look like. Take 2 more questions here. No updates about Hardcourt for today. We'll provide updates there as soon as we have them. And yeah, as far as notes from The Economist himself, we are looking into what a Twitter account from him could look like. Sure enough, the answers and he had a chance to look at some of these questions before, so his input was integral to some of these answers as well. Okay, everyone. I really appreciate you all tuning in. As Candy mentioned, we're streaming with Richard Hamilton in just about 10 minutes here. So gonna use the restroom and get myself ready for the stream. Very, very excited about this one. To all collectors that are here, I imagine you have the requisite collector score. So if you're not in the waiting room yet, please join the waiting room now. And looking forward to seeing you all very soon on stream. Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thanks everybody for coming by. We will get office hours reposted to YouTube later on so everyone can catch the recap. Good luck in the queue. Have a great rest of your weekend.